My guest today by Skype is Anastasիա Միրզոյանցը, who is a social scientist and senior head of research at Intermedia.org. She has been very visible on international media these last few days as a result of what is happening in Moscow, in the streets of Moscow, and not only Moscow in Russia. Of course, all of this is very interesting to us here in Armenia for many reasons, not just because Russia is our largest neighbor, but also because politically many in Armenia watch processes in Russia and try to figure out how that can be extrapolated here in Armenia, or can it be at all. Anastasia, thank you very much for your time. I know you're in Kiev working, and let me just start right in the middle of things. If Hillary Clinton had not said what she said and when she said it, would there still be assumptions, accusations in Russia that this is fermented by outsiders and not a native Moscow development?
I believe there would be, because Hillary Clinton, the person who commented on the Russian elections, in fact, there was Condoleezza Rice who made a couple of comments on that. In fact, there were a lot of discussions that most of the revolutions in the recent year, in particular the Arab Spring, and even 4 years ago, the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, were partially or directly or indirectly induced by financial support from the United States.
Would you say, knowing what's going on the ground there, would you say that it is outside induced?
No, I wouldn't say it is outside induced. It's the genuine signal of discontent among certain groups of the population, and it's genuine call for more discussions and more engagement between the population and the government, because people feel that the government is getting more and more from what's going on what is the reality of everyday life of many of the Russians. And this is the call for a conversation, for a dialogue between the government and the population.
Are those calling for dialogue among the population, are they those who are looking for bread, or those who are looking for more rights and more engagement?
Those who are calling, there are all the different groups of people coming out, and the protest rally on December 10 on Bolotnaya Square showed that there are all the different layers of the population that are discontent to some way or another. There are people from all walks of life. There were people with different socioeconomic status and different economic situation. So they are all different people. And the rotation of Putin and Medvedev that happened at the meeting of United Russia, the following up elections that showed all the different things to all different people, were kind of the two events that provoked these people to go out and voice their discontent.
Medvedev said something interesting over the weekend, right? That we need to be listening to the people, and then he followed that up with, but people don't talk this way, this is not good for the country. And then the West noticed that stock market plunged in Moscow, and now there is this funny situation. On the one hand, in order for the Russian economy to grow and to be more interesting to outsiders and investors, there needs to be reforms, less corruption, judicial reform, many of the things that the demonstrators are asking for. But in the short term, the process of the demonstrators asking for all of that seems to be counterproductive. Is this going to help the authorities, or is this going to help strengthen the hand of the demonstrators?
Well, it's always difficult to try to analyze economic situations through political situation, although they're undisputably connected. The situation is that many observers, even the observers who are supporting the opposition, cannot but admit that during Putin during the Putin being in power, Russia has been doing very well economically, and even the effects of the global crisis are not that dramatic on Russian economy as on other large economies in the world. And in fact, part of the group that is protesting right now at Bolotna Street and before that at the Russian March is the population that became very wealthy during the Putin's period, the last 12. And those are the people who travel abroad. Those are the people who have access to the internet and the wider wealth of information. So it's the achievement of Putin's era that there is this group of population that knows how the democratic countries operate, how different countries in the world operate because they travel a lot, because they consume more information, they have access to more information. And now the irony is that these are people who are asking for reforms, and these are the people who know in which direction they possibly want the country to grow. So these protests, I believe that these protests are beneficial for both, for the government and for the people, because people can see that there is a lot of support to the discontent. It's not that there is a small group of 10 people who are dissatisfied with something, but there is in fact a larger group of people across the country who are getting general discontent with the current political situation, with the current economic situation. They do not necessarily have very clear understanding of what kind of reforms they should be in terms of political reforms, in terms of economic reforms. But they do know that there needs to be some change. On the other side, the government is now seeing that there is this group of people that, yes, they are coming from different walks of life, and yes, they want to change the country for the better. They're not necessarily protesting from Putin directly, although some of them do. However, this is the signal for the government that there should be more engagement. And some of the actions that again happened over the last week, like the Prokhorov running now for the president and Medvedev running for the president, they seem to be the attempt of United Russia and the government in general to show that there are some alternatives, and the alternatives give people who express alternative opinions, people who do not belong to the government and to United Russia, I'm sorry, are allowed and can run for the presidency and can be there, can be visible, can given the voice.
Is it fair to say that the demonstrators are asking for political evolution? They're not asking for revolution. And is it fair to say that the government has got to understand this, otherwise it may evolve to something else?
I think it's fair to say that the protesters are asking for evolution rather than revolution. Nobody at this point wants any violence, neither the government nor the population. And we can see so much violence happening outside the world that this is scary, and I believe nobody would want to go that route. So the protesters are asking for reforms. They are not asking for overthrow of the government at this point. No, that would be a fair statement. There is a need for reform. There is a desire for reform, but it should be in a peaceful way. It should be a step-by-step evolution. I believe it does. The media in Russia more so than the media in the West. I saw some trends in the Western media where different outlets try to make these events in Russia a sensation, and the development of Arabic Revolution turning into Arabic Spring turning into Russian winter. sometimes even directly calling the Russian to uprise and overthrow the government, which I believe is really inappropriate, and it's really not how the media should support the discussions especially in the countries that so complex, I should say, as Russia, and so tired of violence as Russia, because there was a lot of different violence events and wars that Russia has been involved in the last decade. However, I believe that the Russian media does get the point that it should be a peaceful transition rather than violent revolution. So over the last week, there were a lot of instances where the opposition was given a voice, opposition was given an opportunity to discuss how they want Russia to change, how they want Russia to transform in the coming years.
That discussion can take place publicly in the Russian media. There's space for that. In the traditional media.
There was not space for that before the protest, but and I think that's one of the signals that coming from government. The state run media is giving this space now. So now there is the space. It's still not much, and we'll see how it will develop. But the fact that Nemtsov was given an opportunity to be on the state TV, on nationwide TV, and present his ideas, is a big change from what it's been in Russia for many years. There are a lot of discussions that happen online, and Facebook is becoming public space where the government and the population are also engaged into different type of discussion, more vivid, more interesting. However, the state media also offers some space for this dialogue.
Thank you.